How you doing, everyone? It's Sandesh here, and I'm going to do a video on an article on Yahoo News from the Telegraph, and it's called Putin wants ceasefire in Ukraine, Kremlin sources say. He already wanted a ceasefire a few years ago, and he even had his own peace agreement, and he even showed it to the press. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's too late, and but also at the same time, in the end, he's going to get what he wants. As far as Ukraine and the UN, and as NATO as well. Anyway, before I talk about the article, if you could follow me on next YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey as well, if you don't mind, please. Anyway, I'm going to go through the article now. Vladimir Putin has hinted at a ceasefire in Ukraine as Kremlin sources said the Russian leader believes he has taken enough territory to present as a victory. Moscow aides told Western journalists that Putin is ready for a deal to freeze the war along the current front lines. They also admitted that Russia may not be able to make a significant breakthrough in the fighting without mass mobilization, which Putin opposes. Offers of a ceasefire will be viewed with heavy skepticism in Ukraine and the West, which is gearing up for their own peace summit, as well as G7 and NATO talks, all of which Russia is excluded from. That's just a joke. The fact that Putin and Russia in general is excluded from the peace summit and G7 and NATO talks, beyond a joke. That tells you everything about the war in Ukraine. But the comments on the risks of mass mobilization for Russia offer a rare glimpse into anxiety about the war within the Kremlin. In briefings given to the Reuters news agency, Kremlin sources said Putin blamed Volodymyr Zelensky for dodging peace talks as he was prepared to order his advancing armies to halt. Yeah, he did dodge peace talks. It was going to happen, and I remember this. And just before it was going to happen, and Boris Johnson flew to Ukraine on behalf of NATO and the US, and he basically told him, if you take this peace agreement, we're gonna pull out. You're not going to get any more weapons from us, from the UK and the US. I remember this story. Putin can fight for as long as it takes. But Putin is also ready for a ceasefire to freeze the war, said one of the sources. He already wanted to ages ago. He already wanted to do a ceasefire. He didn't even want this to carry on. The powers that be wanted it to carry it on. NATO wanted it to carry on. Mr. Zelensky has said that he will not negotiate with Putin and has pledged to retake all land captured by Russia. Zelensky's only doing this because of the Nazi soldiers in the Ukraine army. Because I was watching a video on Jimmy Dore, and basically, if he did take a peace agreement, I think that would kill him and his family, and he wouldn't be able to do anything about it. Putin is also in his strongest position since his initial invasion of Ukraine in February 2022. Of course he is, because his army is. The Russian army was just going to be so much more powerful and more organized than the Ukraine army. His armies are on the front foot on the battlefields, and his industries outproducing Ukraine's allies for arms and weapons, vital in a war that has descended into a slugging match. However, the sources said that Putin was genuine about pushing for a ceasefire, because he has become wary of the costs of the war and believes that he can sell territorial gains as a win to Russians. Putin will say that we won, that NATO attacked us and we kept our sovereignty, and that we have a land corridor to Crimea, which is true, said one. Three sources said Putin understood any dramatic new advances would require another nationwide mobilization, which he did not want, with one source who knows the Russian president saying his popularity dipped after the first mobilization in September 2022. And as far as Putin goes, I mean, he's more sane-minded than the other Western politicians who want this war to keep on going. He's more sane-minded than NATO themselves. I mean, NATO are pretty much they sound like hitmen for some reason. Russia now occupies around 80% of Ukraine, including Crimea, which is annexed in 2014, but the Kremlin has failed to capture the whole of any other region despite promoting the conquest of the eastern region of Donbass as a priority. It's funny that before this war in Ukraine happened, Ukraine was dubbed the most corrupt country in Europe, I think it was. This month, Russian forces launched an attack towards Kharkiv, I think that's what it says, in the northeast of the country for the first time since it was routed from the outskirts of the city in 2022. Putin has previously said that he is interested in finding a ceasefire to the fighting in Ukraine, including during a visit this month to China, Russia's most important economic ally. China has promoted a 12-point peace plan to the war in Ukraine, which has been widely discredited. Yeah, the only ones that discredited are the ones that want this war to keep on going, and Putin's going to get what he wants in the end. Calls by Putin for ceasefire in Ukraine also appear to contradict his increasingly aggressive posture around Russia's nuclear weapons. This week, Russian forces practiced using a tactical nuclear weapon on a mock battlefield, and Putin also visited Belarus for talks focused on Russian nuclear weapons stationed there since last year. Yeah, Putin ain't no Satan, but I mean he's definitely far more better than Biden and Boris Johnson ever was, and even you can even throw in Rishi Sunak as well, and that's not including NATO themselves. Analysts said the Kremlin comments may be designed to spread dissent among some of the Ukraine's European allies who are growing tired of the cost of backing Kiev. Yeah, I'm not surprised that they're getting sick and tired of this. Samuel Romani, an associate fellow at the Royal United Services Institute in London, said Putin is effectively harnessing the immediate ceasefire component of China's peace proposal to present a good faith image, knowing that Ukraine will not accept this. Senior EU defense officials dismissed the comments from the Kremlin sources and promised to double down on support for Ukraine to head off the Russian invasion. Our position at the EU level and in connection with our US partners is that we will continue to deliver the necessary aid to avoid any failure and defeat, which will not only be catastrophic for Ukraine and for us, a senior EU official said. We are not changing our direction and the determination is fully intact, despite what Putin can say or has announced, he added. We are on the same track of full support for Ukraine. Western officials have previously described Putin's calls for peace talks as disingenuous in the belief that the Russian president still holds maximalist war aims to topple the Ukrainian government. Mikhailo Podolyak, I think that's what it says, one of Mr. Zelensky's main advisors, called the offer of peace rather disgusting. Putin is once again mockingly offering democracies to lose, to kneel down not to Ukraine but to Western democracies, no more but no less, because this is not about peace, rules or a ceasefire, but only about impunity and the continuation of the war, he said. Yeah, it's just hilarious. So it's just so funny of the fact that they try to mock Putin and Russia in general, when the thing is they're just making fun of themselves or keep on funding a losing battle. That's what's essentially is going on, and they keep on funding a losing battle, knowing they're ultimately going to lose, and Putin is going to get what he wants regardless. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Please like, comment and subscribe in this video, and let me know in the comments on what you think about the war in Ukraine and Vladimir Putin in general. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.